had asked you to be on the podcast originally because of the aspect of beauty in life, and specifically your take on beauty through music. I was hoping to ask, when you've talked about your musical pieces now a couple times, they are religiously themed, though you wouldn't necessarily know that just by listening to it. The titles, as you've said, have a religious undertone, a Christian undertone in them. How do you, is there a reason behind that? Excuse me, I won't put words in your mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a reason, and then there's a reason I'm glad I did that. The reason is I kind of promised God that I would do that. And then the reason I'm glad I did that is because it's really easy, I think, to forget that music is not an ends. Like music, to forget that it's a gift,
Okay.
And to I can say all these things about music, and I can wax philosophical about how I why I love music, but it's really not worth anything if I forget the fact that I didn't give myself this,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think the names are also connected to some aspect of hope, because I don't think music is music if it isn't hopeful. Like one-dimensional music that is purely sad. I don't really. I think a lot of people probably disagree with me, but I think hope is something inherent in music. That's the whole idea of music starting out on, at least for tonal music that starts out on establishes a tonic, and then it's kind of playing with creating tension by almost resolving to where it began, and finally resolving, or maybe not resolving. I think it kind of comes from that connection to hope being inherent in music.
That's that's probably a pretty hot take, that music has to be hopeful, or that's an inherent section of it. I feel like a lot of famous operas may deal specifically with war, violence, pain, but then I guess you could also say that usually by the end, the entire operatic movement has resolved itself.
Even if it doesn't resolve itself, I could be totally wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about this and I'll change my mind in a year. But even if the lyrics deal with something sad, I think this goes back to why I think music is beautiful, which is that I could kind of lose myself on this, but even if the music is sad, as long as you enjoy listening to it, you enjoy it because of how it's this metaphor for your own life, maybe it's creating this it's creating this tension and resolving, and maybe not resolving. Maybe by the end of the opera it doesn't resolve, but that's not the point. The point is that the music is beautiful, and that's why you liked it, because it was beautiful. So I think the hope comes from the fact that the music itself is something beautiful.
Okay. So, it's easy to look at some of the big names in music, both today and of yesteryear, and see beauty in their music. What about, I think it's the postmodern change in music that happened not too recently. What is it? The quote unquote song 420. That's just, or 422 maybe. That's just like the performer comes out, sits down to the piano for like 4 minutes and 25 seconds of pure silence, and then gets up and leaves. And then they like changed from fundamentals of music and decided to try and like create mathematical equations out of the music that they were writing, and it was just crazy and didn't make sense to the listener. But this was like, I want to say this was Enlightenment era, where it was like, this is just, music doesn't have beauty, doesn't exist. It's all subjective. So we're just going to make mathematical equations out of our musical writing and try and do something from there. Do you know what I'm talking about? Even I'm describing this poorly.
No, I mean, you hit on a couple, like, you might have to remind me, because I have a couple things, like, you hit on a couple things that I find either scary or like important. And I think the things you said about like beauty in music, it reminds me of some quotes by Claude Debussy, who I disagree with. He says that what is he? So like the first example of the guy sitting down is kind of funny in an ironic way. One thing Debussy said is that music is all about the silence between the notes. No notes were played, so there was no silence between notes. And that's something that I like half agree with and half disagree with. I mean, the silence between the notes is important, but anyway. And then the other thing he said was that he said beauty is a lie, but it's the greatest lie ever, basically. I'm paraphrasing. Okay. And this is where I feel like Debussy kind of is like the Camus version of musicians. Like he also said that music is should be as close to a dream as possible. Like it shouldn't be too real. And I like to think the opposite. Like I think music at its best is like a metaphor for your own life and is real. But and I also disagree with what he said about beauty. Like, if beauty is a lie, then what I'm doing on the piano doesn't mean anything. And then the thing about the mathematical stuff with music is kind of interesting, because I feel like there's a couple of ways you can go with understanding music that aren't satisfying to me. One is that I think it's actually kind of scary to me that I could reduce music to a mathematical formula or a psychological like reaction. Okay. And until I realized that, like, even if that's true, like the poetic part of music, and I don't mean lyrics, but I mean like the fact that music, like the hopefulness embedded in music and the way that like tension and resolution like mirror events in your life doesn't go away no matter what the reason is that music is enjoyable. So music does not lose its metaphorical quality depending on like why it sounds good. And then, but I think you can kind of go the other way and say like something that makes me want to puke is when people say that music is a feeling. And like, if music is just a feeling, then everything is lost again. Like, and I don't really, that's not even like a complete idea for me, but I think there has to be something like real about music in the way that it's about your life, you know? And it like music kind of becomes like a It's not interesting anymore. Like, it kind of become like its own like type of pornography if like it's used just to distract you. You know what I mean? Like the fact that music is beautiful, like, has to bring you back to the fact that what you're living matters and not distract you like with its beauty. You know what I mean? That can't be what it's for.
Well, that was very insightful, actually. Music as a distraction is like pornography. That was quite a statement.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is it's not like you're misusing it. Like, it's not.
Yeah.